Welcome to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
So you sent us this really wide-ranging batch of sources, all the latest from the world of TV, film, media, global stuff.
Yeah, quite a mix this time. Lots going on.
And our mission, as always, is to dig in and pull out what actually matters. Get past the headlines and see what it tells us about where things are heading.
Mm-hmm. The force is shaping what we watch.
Exactly. We've got, well, everything from a pretty intense dystopian drama. AI is in there, of course.
Always is nowadays.
Disney's global strategy, even Catholic cardinals using a Hollywood movie for prep.
That one definitely caught my eye. It's a snapshot, really.
Right, snapshot of the pressures, the innovations, the whole landscape. So where should we start? Maybe with that drama, the one with the kind of chilling idea.
Sounds good. Let's start with The Trial. It's a new single drama, Channel 5.
And the premise is,
Yeah.
wow, parents being held legally responsible for their kids' crimes
Yeah,
in the near future.
exactly. It taps right into those deep anxieties about responsibility, parenting.
Hmm.
Where do you draw the line?
Yeah. It's a dark reflection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stars Claire Skinner, Ben Miles.
Mm-hmm.
They're the parents facing this nightmare scenario.
And what's also interesting is the production side.
Oh, yeah.
They filmed the whole thing in just 4 days.
4 days for a full drama? That's
Yeah.
intense.
It really is. You have to think that creates a certain claustrophobic, high-pressure feel, which probably suits the subject matter.
True.
Yeah.
But you also wonder, what nuances might get lost with that kind of speed.
It's a trade-off, definitely. But that core concept, parental versus individual accountability, it's powerful and very relevant to ongoing debates, actually.
Absolutely. Okay, so from the content itself, let's talk about how we get the content. Netflix. Big changes coming to their TV homepage.
Yeah, sounds like a major redesign. And it's not just, shuffling things around. It seems quite strategic.
Strategic how?
Well, think about how crowded streaming is. Everyone's fighting for your attention. Right. So, Netflix wants to make it easier to see everything they offer now. Not just shows and movies, but games, live events. Bring it all front and center.
Right. I saw their chief product officer, Eunice called it a giant leap forward. Said it was possible because of new tech.
Yeah.
And obviously having more types of content now.
It's that constant evolution, isn't it? We just see the interface, but behind the scenes, they've been tweaking and rebuilding for over a decade.
Like upgrading the engine while the plane's in midair.
That's a great way to put it. They started simple, like a digital video store, and now they're aiming to be these, well, all-encompassing entertainment hubs. Needs a different structure.
Okay. Speaking of tech shaping entertainment, let's get into AI. Artificial intelligence in post-production always generates buzz and maybe some worry.
Oh, definitely both. Excitement and concern. Especially if you're, say, a sound designer or an editor, these tools directly affect their workflow.
So the sense I got from the sources is that right now it's mostly seen as helpful, like an assistant, not a replacement.
For the most part, yes. At least the AI that's being widely used now. Think of AI that helps streamline the tedious stuff, the repetitive tasks.
Cleaning up audio, maybe basic color correction, that kind of thing.
Exactly. The idea is it frees up the human artists to focus on the storytelling, the emotional impact, the nuances.
Okay. But what about the other kind? Generative AI, the stuff that creates.
That's where more of the anxiety lies. But the consensus seems to be that generative AI, creating whole scenes or scripts from scratch, it's not quite ready for prime time and major studio workflows yet.
So the distinction is key. AI that helps versus AI that makes.
Precisely. Assistive AI can elevate creativity, generative AI. Well, the jury's still out on how it fits in without potentially devaluing human skills down the line. It's something everyone's watching closely.
Makes sense. Okay, let's pivot to one of the giants, Disney. They've got big plans for growing their streaming service globally.
Yes, Disney Plus, it's been rolling out globally since 2019, but now the focus seems to be shifting.
How so?
Bob Iger, the CEO, he's really emphasizing ramping up original, local, and regional content, making stuff specifically for audiences overseas.
Ah, okay, so not just relying on the big Marvel and Star Wars franchises to work everywhere.
Exactly. That came up after their Q2 earnings. The idea is, for real growth, especially in diverse international markets, you need content that speaks directly to those audiences, reflects their culture, their stories.
It's kind of like what Netflix found success with in some places, right?
Yeah.
Investing in local productions that then sometimes break out globally.
It's a growing trend across the board. Global reach is one thing, but deep engagement, getting people to stick around long term, that often comes from that local connection, planting seeds in different soils, as you said earlier.
Right. Okay, sticking with global content, but maybe a name less familiar to some. Blue Ant Media.
Yeah, they've been around since 2011 and have built up a significant, if quieter, global presence. They do production, distribution, they even have their own channels,
And their focus is,
heavily into factual, unscripted, and fast channels, the free ad-supported streaming TV. That's a booming area.
they seem big on collaboration too. Co-productions.
Very much so. The sources mentioned executives talking about a really cooperative culture. They invest in talent, work with partners internationally.
Like that kids show, Tralala, Canada and New Zealand.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of their model. Pooling resources, blending creative ideas, reaching wider audiences right from the start. It shows how interconnected the media world is now.
Okay, quick interesting one next. Scarlett Johansson, famously not on social media,
Right. Very private.
but she might be joining Instagram for Jurassic World.
That's the story. Universal apparently asked her to consider it to help promote the new film Jurassic World Rebirth, which is out in July.
Huh. Why her specifically, beyond being the star?
Well, her character, Zora Bennett, is described as a covert operative. Maybe they see some synergy there, but mostly it's about leveraging her star power directly with fans online.
It's just striking. Because she's been so deliberately offline, it would be a big shift for her.
It really highlights the pressure, doesn't it? Even for huge stars, the marketing machine increasingly expects that direct social media engagement. Privacy versus promotion.
Yeah. Okay, now for that story you mentioned earlier, the one that sounds almost unbelievable. Catholic cardinals watching a movie
Yes. Watching the film Conclave, starring Ralph Fiennes.
to prepare for the actual papal conclave,
Yeah.
the secret election of the Pope.
Apparently, yes. Some of the 133 cardinals involved in the real thing have reportedly watched this fictionalized version.
That's wild. What's the film like? I mean, beyond Fiends being in it?
It's directed by Edward Berger, and it gets into all the, Vatican intrigue, the politics, the power struggles, potential scandals, everything that supposedly goes on behind those closed doors. Fiennes plays a key cardinal figure.
So they're watching a dramatic thriller about the very process they're about to participate in.
It seems that way. An unexpectedly cinematic lens, as one report put it, on a very solemn, very secret ritual. You have to wonder what they're taking away from it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, shifting back to the business side and the future of making content. There's a new company, Chronicle Studios.
Yeah, launched by Chris DeFaria, a veteran producer, and their whole approach sounds different.
How so? What's their angle?
They're trying to flip the script on how IP gets developed. Instead of starting with the script and trying to sell it, they want to start with the audience.
Start with the audience, meaning
Looking at the creator economy, social media, seeing where people are already engaged, then using faster capital and, importantly, AI-driven analytics to guide the early creative steps.
So data informing the story from day one.
Pretty much. DeFaria has been critical of Hollywood being too risk-averse, not enough original ideas. His bet seems to be that this data-led, audience-first approach can uncover fresh concepts that already have some proof of interest.
It's an interesting idea. But does data kill the spark? The unpredictable human element of creativity.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Finding that balance between data insights and genuine artistic vision. It's a path many are trying to navigate now.
Speaking of risk, Saturday Night Live UK, bringing that iconic U.S. show across the pond.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
commissioner, Phil Edgar Jones, was quite candid about it being a challenge.
What did he say?
Basically acknowledged that the UK just doesn't have that same long history of live TV sketch comedy. He called it a risky proposition, straight up.
Refreshing honesty.
But he also framed it as a huge opportunity, a chance to discover and nurture a whole new generation of British comedians, build something fresh.
So high risk, potentially high reward,
Oh.
cultivating new talent.
Exactly. It's that classic broadcaster dilemma. Play it safe with proven formats, or take a chance on something new that could really connect and define a moment.
Right. Okay, let's check back with streaming. Stars. They're now officially split from Lionsgate.
Yep, that separation took about 18 months, apparently. Now they're standalone.
And the CEO, Jeffrey Hirsch, is talking growth.
Big time. They have around 20 million subscribers now in the US and Canada. The goal, reach 80 million households.
Wow.
Part of the plan involves bundling, partnering up with other streaming services to offer package deals.
Makes sense? Easier to get noticed in a bundle, maybe? And being independent helps them focus purely on Star's goals.
That seems to be the logic. No more juggling priorities within a larger company like Lionsgate. just pure focus on growing stars. It reflects that constant reshuffling in the streaming wars. Everyone's looking for the right strategy, the right partners.
Okay, let's head to South Africa. The SABC, the public broadcaster there, facing some challenges.
Yeah, financial struggles have been reported, and they've got a new 5-year plan that involves a pretty significant shift in focus.
Yours.
Streaming. They're positioning their service, SABC Plus as their main flagship platform going forward.
Why the shift? Problems with traditional TV?
It seems so. Reports mention ongoing losses at 2 of their main channels, SABC2 and SABC3. Apparently, SABC1 is the one making money and essentially propping the others up.
So they're investing more in digital, potentially changing the broadcast channels.
Looks like it. Plans include more spending on consultants, market research, production, but maybe more conservative programming on the profitable SABC1, while the other 2 might see bigger changes or different roles.
It's a story we're seeing variations of worldwide, isn't it? Legacy broadcasters trying to adapt to the digital streaming-first reality.
Absolutely. It's immense pressure to find a sustainable path forward when viewing habits have changed so drastically.
Okay, back to AI again, but this time a specific platform. Cursor. Heard of this?
I saw that, a development system powered by AI, apparently valued at, what, $9 billion?
Yeah, huge number. And backed by an investor who's also behind A24, which lends it some indie cred, I guess.
So what's it supposed to do?
Sounds like a lot. The potential to automate or streamline big chunks of the production workflow. Screenwriting assistance, VFX, localization, even distribution planning. So potentially quite disruptive to traditional Hollywood ways of working.
That's the buzz, certainly. If tools like Cursor become sophisticated enough, they could really change the timelines, the budgets, the whole process of getting something made.
Raises those same questions again about skills, jobs, the future of roles within the industry.
Definitely. It's a space moving incredibly fast.
Let's take a slight detour now. A specific niche that seems to be doing well. History content. Direct-to-consumer.
Ah, yes. Like podcasts and platforms focusing just on history.
Exactly. Brands like The Rest is History, History Hit.
Yeah.
They've shown there's a real appetite for this, right? People willing to pay or engage directly.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is they don't all do it the same way. Different storytelling styles, different business models, podcasts, subscription sites, YouTube channels.
Yeah, the sources mentioned looking at 5 different history channels, all kind of finding their own way in the creator economy.
It really shows that if you have a passion and expertise in a niche, you can build a dedicated audience and a sustainable thing, even outside the big media structures. Specialization works.
Okay, back to mainstream broadcast in the UK, ITV. Some of their biggest shows seem to be fading a little.
That's what the numbers suggest. Year-on-year ratings drops reported for The Masked Singer and Britain's Got Talent.
Those are huge, long-running formats. Audience fatigue setting in, maybe?
Could be. What's interesting is the contrast. New BBC dramas, Miss Austen and Verdi, apparently launched with similar numbers around the same time.
Suggesting viewers might be looking for something fresh, maybe more scripted stories.
It's a possibility. Puts the pressure back on broadcasters like ITV. You can't just rely on the old faithfuls forever. Need to keep innovating, finding the next big thing. It's a cycle.
Definitely. Now, another kind of adaptation, this one on Netflix, Judy Blume's Forever.
Ah, the classic young adult novel from '75.
Right. But this is a new take by Mara Brock Akil.
And she's known for focusing on Black stories, right? Like girlfriends, being Mary Jane.
Exactly. So this Forever reimagines the story focusing on Black teenagers, their love, their identity, set in L.A.
That sounds like a really interesting, relevant update. Bringing those timeless themes, Bloom explored first love, sexuality, social pressures to a new generation through a specific cultural lens.
Yeah, it stars Lovie Simone and Michael Cooper Jr., and Akil apparently hopes it connects with audiences who don't always see themselves centered, maybe even become a multi-season thing.
It speaks to that power of retelling classic stories, finding new resonance by reflecting different experiences. Important work.
Absolutely. Okay, we should probably touch on all the movement behind the scenes, too. Lots of executive changes happening.
Always a busy area. People moving between companies, getting new roles. BBC Studios Nordic, Werner Film Productions in Australia, BBC Drama, Globo's international sales, Global Sphere Studios. It's constant.
What does all that shuffling usually signal?
Often it reflects shifting strategies, companies focusing on new areas, maybe international expansion or doubling down on certain types of content. It's the industry realigning itself.
And the festival and market scene is buzzing, too, right?
Yeah.
Sydney, NEM, Dubrovnik, Cannes,
Oh yeah, vital hubs. Sydney Film Festival rolling out a huge program. NEM Dubrovnik is key for the Central and Eastern European TV market. Lots of deals and discussions happen there.
Cannes, of course, always huge. I saw Tarantino's going to be there, honoring an older director, George Sherman.
Yeah, showing some classics. It's not just about the new films, but celebrating cinema history, too.
And documentary festivals like DCDOX are showcasing important nonfiction work.
Plus, even those industry events are tackling the big topics now. Like that AI controversy around the film The Brutalist led to a panel discussion being scheduled right at the Cannes market.
So the conversation about AI's impact is happening everywhere.
Can't escape it.
Okay, finally, before we wrap up, the sheer volume of stuff in development. New projects being announced constantly.
It's kind of staggering, isn't it? Films, TV shows, across every genre imaginable.
We've got Margaret Qualley in a dark comedy with Ethan Coen,
Yeah.
a Clayface movie script rewrite for DC, Cynthia Erivo adapting that play prima facie.
Sam Mendes doing 4 separate Beatles biopics, one for each Beatle. That's ambitious.
Right. Michelle Rodriguez and Richard Gere in a plane thriller. Matthew Broderick and Alan Ruck possibly reuniting.
More Paw Patrol, another Shaun the Sheep. Established franchises keep going.
Sydney Sweeney in a murder mystery for Apple. Ted Danson back for season 2 of A Man on the Inside on Netflix. Amy Poehler and Mike Schur reteaming for a Peacock comedy.
Miles Teller in a comedy about a country star and a magical possum. Okay.
I know. French directors doing Coming of Age. Radu Jude doing Dracula as a comedy drama. Aardman's next Shaun the Sheep.
Cast changes on Law & Order, SVU, a new YA series based on books for Amazon, Kingsley Ben-Adir starring in something, Sophie Marceau returning to a role.
Call the Midwife expanding with a prequel and a film. Documentaries about Scottish regiments, Victoria Wood. Lots happening at the BBC and UK TV.
International sales deals, thrillers, Stephen King adaptations, Hugh Laurie in an Apple TV Plus thriller, star-studded directorial debuts, Bravo reviving old shows and spinning off Housewives.
New pilots for ABC, a Yellowstone spinoff for CBS, a hospital documentary for Paramount.
And it's endless. It really shows that despite all the industry shifts and, talk of consolidation or budget cuts, there's still a massive amount of investment going into creating new content. The pipeline is full.
And the deals keep flowing, too.
Yeah.
Acquisitions, distribution rights.
Definitely. Streaming platforms snapping up films, distributors taking shows to international markets, like that Jacinda Ardern documentary getting a release, Turkish comedy series selling, talent spotlights, French dramas, Warner getting stuff for New Zealand.
And a Stars Lionsgate split finalized, as we mentioned. NASA launching a fast channel.
Job cuts at ProSiebenSat.1 in Germany, though, showing the pressures are real, too. Channel 4 licensing a McCann doc. Nordic deals, preschool shows, new distribution labels, box-to-box expanding. It's a whirlwind.
Plus renewals. Seth Rogen's show on Apple, an animated series, trying on Apple TV, plus a BBC show.
But also cancellations. Rescue HI Surf gone at Fox. That's the nature of the beast.
Phew. Okay. So bringing all that together,
Mm-hmm.
what are the big takeaways from this whirlwind tour?
Well, a few things stand out, I think. There's definitely this tension between creative risk-taking, like that Channel 5 drama or SNL UK, and relying on proven IP or data.
Right. And the huge strategic shifts towards streaming, obviously, but also specifically towards global reach through local content. That seems critical now.
Absolutely. And then there's AI. It's not just a buzzword anymore. It's actively being integrated, debated, potentially reshaping workflows from development right through to post-production.
And underlying it all is that constant need to adapt. Adapt to technology, adapt to how audiences behave, what they want to watch. It's incredibly dynamic.
Couldn't agree more. Agility, understanding tech, understanding audiences. That seems to be the name of the game right now.
So as we finish this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you, the listener. Considering everything we've touched on, the tech like AI, the push for global and local content, the changing streaming strategies, even audience fatigue with old formats, what single trend, what one force do you think will have the most profound impact on how you actually consume and experience entertainment over the next, say, 5 years?
Yeah, which piece of this puzzle feels like the biggest driver of change for you personally?
Something to chew on. Until our next deep dive.